Boy, I hope you're having a good day today. I really do. If not, I really hope something is said in the next few minutes that will lift your spirits. Let us know how to pray for you. Today we're continuing our series on prayer, inspired by a new release, a new book I wrote called Start with Prayer. And today's message is about taking your problems to Christ before your problems take the life out of you. My Bible's open to John chapter 2. On the third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Now, both Jesus and his disciples were invited to the wedding. Common wedding. The bride wasn't the daughter of an emperor. The groom wasn't a prince. And were it not for one detail, this event would have been lost in time. And that is the guest list. It read something like this. Benjamin of Capernaum, Simon the craftsman, Saul the rabbi, and farther down the list, Jesus of Nazareth. The family invited Jesus to the wedding. And since he always goes where he's invited, Jesus and his disciples traveled to Cana for their first excursion. And while they were there, the wedding ran out of wine. That's in verse 3. I guess someone underestimated the size of the crowd. Maybe they underestimated the appetite of the guests, or the depth of the wine vats, or the number of friends Jesus would bring. We do not know. What we do know is that the bride and groom ran out of wine, or in your case, the department ran out of cash. The team ran out of solutions. You've run out of energy. Life tends to leak. Enter, stage right, Mary, the mother of Jesus. Now, for my nickel, she just appears too seldom in Scripture. After all, who knew Jesus better than did she? And she carried him for 9 months, breastfeeding him for more. She heard his first word. She witnessed his first steps. She was the ultimate authority on Jesus. So, on the rare occasion she speaks, do we not perk up? The mother of Jesus said to him, they have no wine. Still in verse 3. Now, Mary wasn't bossy. She didn't say, Jesus, they're out of wine, so here's what I need you to do, and I want you to get right on it. Go down to the grove at the corner and accelerate the growth of some Bordeaux grapes and turn them into wine, and do so. She didn't try to fix the problem herself. And she wasn't critical. She didn't say, now, if only they had planned better, Jesus. You know, people just don't think ahead these days. My goodness, back in the good old days, what's society coming to? The world is going over the cliff. Help, Jesus, help. She didn't blame her host, and she didn't blame Jesus. What kind of Messiah are you? If you truly were in control, this never would have happened. Nor did she blame herself. It's all my fault, Jesus. Punish me. I failed as a friend. Now the wedding is ruined. The marriage will collapse. I am to blame. None of this. Mary did not whine about the wine. She just stated the problem. And then Jesus said to her, woman, what does your concern have to do with me? My hour has not yet come. And his mother said to the servants, whatever he says to you, do it. That's in verse 4 and 5. Apparently, originally, Jesus had no intention of saving the wedding banquet. This wasn't the manner, this wasn't the place he had planned to reveal his power. But then Mary entered the story. Mary, someone he loved, Mary, with a genuine need, Mary, who offered a prayer. In my imagination, I see Mary turn and walk away. Her eyes reflect calm. She's untroubled. She has done her part. She has done everything she was supposed to do. She has identified the problem, brought it to Jesus, and left it with him. She trusted him, and she trusted him completely. She told the servants, whatever he says is okay with me. Now, in my imagination, I I see Jesus smile when he hears those words, maybe chuckle. He looks up into the heavens for a moment and then looks over at a cluster of 6 water pots that are sitting in the corner, verses 7 and 8. And Jesus said to them, to the servants, "Fill the water pots with water." And they filled them up to the brim. And he said to them, "Draw some out now and take it to the master of the feast." The master of the feast tasted the wine. He licked his lips and he said, "Boy, this is good stuff." And he lifted his glass in a toast to the bridegroom and complimented him for saving the best wine until last. While the master of the feast noted the quality of the wine, John, the gospel writer, wanted us to observe the quantity: 6 stone jars capable of holding 30 gallons apiece. The servants filled them to the brim. At Jesus' command, that H2O became abundant Merlot. Quick calculation reveals the amount: 908 bottles of wine. The couple could have begun a wine business in Napa Valley. You see, the problem was presented, and the prayer was answered, and the crisis avoided, all because Mary entrusted the problem to Jesus. Now, there is another version of this story, and in it, Jesus never took the problem to Jesus. She took the master to task for poor planning. Mary stormed out of the party, and the groom overheard the argument, and he lost his temper. And the bride told her groom to forget marriage. If he couldn't manage his anger, he sure couldn't manage a home. And by the end of the day, the guests left sad. The marriage was ended before it began. And Jesus shook his head and said, I could have helped if only I'd been asked. Now, that version of the story is not in the Bible, but the principle surely exists in life. We can only wonder how many disasters would be averted if we'd go first in faith to Jesus. The punchline is clear. Take your problem to Christ. Don't take your problems to the bar. Jim Beam cannot solve them. Don't take your problems out on others. Tempered tantrums never advance the cause. The moment you sense a problem, however large or however small, just take it to Christ. Who knows, you may have a story to tell a lot like Mary's. All the best.